Hey there, softball fans. I'm Sydney Lemmerhurt, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be your host for today's special interviews between two exceptional athletes from the Razorback softball team. Meet Reis Beuerlein and Kacie Hoffmann, whose incredible talent and dedication shine both on and off the diamond. But before we dive into their stories, let's take a moment to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Everett Auto Group. They're the driving force behind Buick's See Her Greatness campaign, celebrating the achievements and empowerment of female athletes. With locations in Benton, Bryant, and Rogers, the Everett Auto Group is all about supporting women in sports, and we are so grateful to have them on board. Now, let's get ready to explore the journeys of Reis and Kacie. As your host for today's interviews and a former Razorback gymnast myself, I'm honored to guide you through the experiences and insights of these two remarkable athletes. Get ready to be inspired by their stories of resilience, determination, and triumph. It's time to hear their stories and discover what makes them true champions on and off the field. So hi guys, welcome.
Hi.
So excited to talk to you today.
Thank you for having us.
Of course, could you both introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and kind of how you got into the sport of softball?
Hi, I'm Reis Beuerlein. I'm a sophomore pitcher from Arizona. I really got into softball because my dad and my uncles and my cousins all played baseball, and so I really wanted to follow in their footsteps, and so that just kind of pushed me to start playing softball. And then I always played other sports, but softball just kind of stuck. I always loved it, and I took it and ran with it, and here I am.
Are you the only girl in your family?
No, I have a younger sister.
Okay, yeah. I'm the youngest girl, and I have two older brothers, so I kind of can relate of just trying to be involved somehow. What about you?
Hi, I'm Kacie Hoffmann, and I kind of grew up around two older sisters who also played softball. So growing up around the ball field, it was kind of just natural and born to happen. So continuing with that, my sisters both played all the way up until high school, and then when they graduated, they decided they didn't want to play anymore. So my dad was kind of full into me, and I became his project. So it just kind of was something that me and him could do together.
Yeah, and you're like, I really want to go to that next step.
Yeah.
So why did you pick Arkansas? Obviously you're a transfer, but what brought you guys both to Arkansas?
I picked Arkansas. I just love this place. I love Fayetteville. Coach D is incredible. I've always wanted to play for Coach D. Bogle Park and their fans are amazing. It was just incredible softball environment, and what they're doing for the game it was just always something I wanted to be a part of. So I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, for me it was a little different. I'm kind of a home person, but also I needed to find a family away from home.
Yeah.
I'm not super homebody, but here was really just a place where I could call home, especially with the coaching staff making it such a family environment, and there's nothing you can't go to them about. So I think that was really important for me, was to have almost a family away from a family.
Yeah, and you don't realize when you go away from a home how much you miss it. Even if you're I can't wait to get out, you're oh, I need that support system here. And I think definitely from the outside looking in, Coach D and the staff's done a great job at that. So you guys are very lucky to have the coaches that you have. Could you both share a pivotal moment in your career where you kind of realized, and you mentioned it a little bit, but where you're wow, softball is what I want to do. I'm going to dedicate all my time to it, and maybe I can take it to college and do something more with it?
Yeah, I actually have a very specific moment where I was this is what I want to do. It was this tournament, and it was, I was really young, and we were playing in Flagstaff, which is 2 hours from Phoenix, and so that was our travel trip, and it was a big deal to play there, and everyone went there to try and win. And we were in the semifinal game, and we were playing this team that they were older than us, they were bigger than us, they definitely should have won, and they were from out of state, so it was a big deal to play them, and even for us to make it that far. And ended up being a 12-inning game, and I pitched the whole thing. I threw the whole thing, and we ended up winning, and it was just a sense of accomplishment in that win. And the look on both my parents' faces after, I have pictures, all three of us are just glowing, so proud, so happy. And the way that made me feel, that's when I knew this is so fun. I want to do softball for as long as I can and go as far as I can with it. So.
That's awesome. That's such a cool story. What about you?
I played for a very small team in Nebraska, and there wasn't much exposure with that, so I never thought going bigger than the schools around me, just local schools. And I think when I switched I played for a team out of Kansas City, and I tried out for their team, and they were you have real potential, and I don't think I ever thought it was something that could ever be possible. It just wasn't explored at home.
Yeah.
And so I think that kind of light that okay, I could actually do this, and like it's not just a dream.
Yeah.
Like it can be reality.
Yeah, it's reality.
Yeah.
And you know, you've seen other people do it and you're like, oh, maybe I want to do that. That's kind of my similar thing is you had someone where it was like, oh, I never really thought of it too serious, and then you have that moment of like, oh, maybe I am kind of serious.
Yeah.
And you guys dedicate a lot of your lives to it, you know? So kind of you guys have this big platform and all eyes are on you, and especially little eyes are on you. You guys were once those little kids looking up to the people that in the roles that you are in now. So what do you want young Razorback fans or really young softball fans to remember you as they aspire to try to beat you?
I just really hope that like young fans, when they watch me play, they just see how my love for the game makes me so competitive. And you know, I think that that's what makes me like special as an athlete, is how competitive I am, because I love the game so much. And I think like being competitive in my game is kind of like a lot of people like to watch competitive players, and so that draws viewers and things like that, and so it helps to grow the game. And so I hope that like younger girls who watch me are like, I want to compete as hard as Reis someday, like I want to go after batters like Reis does. Like I hope that the way that I play the game is how little girls look up to me, and that's kind of what I want to leave behind.
I think I'm in the same way of like just showing my passion for the game, but also I think like me personally, I'm a very big advocate for like your sport doesn't define you, and I think that's something that I want kids to like continue to remember growing up, because I think it's hard going through the recruiting process. Like it consumes all of you, but it's not what you are, it's what you do.
What advice would you have, or how do you think social media can be used to shed a more positive light on female sports?
I think that social media is such a huge platform. Like, I don't know about you, but anything that I know, I don't like watch the news anymore. So if I saw it, I saw it on TikTok.
Yeah.
If I saw it, I saw it on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, if I know about it, it's because I saw it on my phone.
Yeah.
And so I think that like social media, if like used correctly, can be such a great way to spread a message and grow something, specifically like women in sports. And I just think that if used the correct way, you know, social media like has a lot of power to bring a lot of attention to something. So I think that a lot of people can spread their message that way.
Yeah, I completely agree. I have nothing else to add.
Yeah. What advice do you have for maybe girls that are on a team that, you know, aren't as visible as you guys are, or are just kind of discouraged by the lack of visibility that their sport might have?
Yeah, I think I would hope, I like completely understand the discouragement, but I would hope that young girls could maybe change their perspective and feel encouraged by being around their teammates and playing the game they love, because love for the game is what grows the game.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think it's like the reminder of like when you're young but like old enough, like it's kind of the reminder of like I could do that for somebody. Like how we influence them, the reminder of they could influence someone in the future. Like just always reminding yourself like there's somebody watching, and like keeping your spirits up and always being positive. You're impacting more people than you ever know without even knowing you're doing it.
Fun question time. So do either one of you have a moment in your career where you're like, whether it's team-wise or individual, but you're like, I'm going to remember that for the rest of my life?
Honestly, and it wasn't even a moment like where I was playing, but Hannah Gamble's grand slam against Georgia was like seriously just being there. It was such a surreal moment and like a huge moment. It was a huge moment for the whole team, but she was so deserving of that moment, and it was just like incredible to be there. It was kind of, for me, it was like all of our hard work this year has led up to this. Like I came to this school and I wanted to do things like this with this team, and I wanted to feel moments like this with these people. And so for that to actually happen, that was huge, and I'll remember that forever.
Mine was definitely, well, my freshman year I got hurt right before the season started, so I was out for a couple weeks, and that was obviously hard going into freshman year, like knowing that I was probably going to play and then getting hurt. But our first SEC game, we were against Tennessee and we were down, and they had called me in to pinch hit, and I was just like, this is just like, I was not ready. Like I didn't expect it, but I ended up going up there and hitting a home run that put us ahead, and
I remember
it was just like, I think it was finally like when I realized like, okay, like I can do this. Because it doesn't really hit until you're in that big moment game and you're like, okay, maybe I was made for this, but
yeah.
And then after the game, my parents didn't come because they didn't expect that I was going to play.
Yeah.
And my mom sent me a video of my dad crying watching the video.
Oh.
So, like, that is just, like, something I'll always remember.
Share your superstitions or, like, rituals that you do.
My biggest superstition is like my hair tie has to be on my wrist, and it's just like a comfort thing. But if I'm not wearing it in the game, or if I like feel it moving in the game, I like all my attention goes to that. I'm like, okay, I don't have my hair tied. Like I feel so out of sorts right now.
Yeah. So. That's a different one. I like it.
Yeah, mine is definitely very different. I am a big energy drink person, but before games I can't. Like it will make me so nervous.
Yeah.
But also like pre-game last year, like and freshman year, I would always have to be the first person to go in Parker's cage, and I would only do 5 swings. And it was just like, it just became a routine.
Who do you guys think is your first female athlete that you looked up to? Doesn't have to necessarily be a softball player, but if it is, kind of talk about her and why you looked up to them.
Mine was Becky Lemke. She was an All-American at the University of Arizona. And she was actually like my first pitching coach.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, she knew my dad, and so I got into like lessons with her like right when I started pitching, and to have like to work with an All-American like as I'm learning how to pitch, like that was just something like she was on a pedestal to me. Like it was so awesome to work with her and be like, okay, I want to do exactly what she did. Like I want to be where she was at, and to do that at such a young age, I think that that's what really helped me like set the goal to get here and work so hard to get here, is because I had somebody kind of guiding me along the way that had done it before, so she knew how to do it, and she was kind of guiding me along the way to get me to the point that I wanted to get to, which was here. So.
Yeah, and it worked out for you.
Yeah, I think mine was Lauren Chamberlain, who was a softball player at Oklahoma. I think growing up, like, I was obviously a power hitter my whole life, and you just didn't see that a lot growing up in younger ages, so I think seeing her and, like, the accomplishments she did. And, like, one of the things that, like, I'll never forget is watching her play the outfield. Because, I mean, I feel like younger or, like, older years in softball, you always saw the slappers, like, the small, like, bunters, like, play the outfield. And I just was not one of those, and I never wanted to bunt the ball. And so, like, even Jocelyn Allo, like, seeing them play the outfield and, like, the confidence their coach has in them, like, that was such a big moment, because I'm like, okay, like, they can play the outfield, I can play the outfield. Like, it doesn't have to be, like, slappers.
Yeah. Final question for you guys. How would you address any haters that you might have or the sport might have and advocate for greater recognition for your sport?
I would really challenge and encourage haters to sit down on their couch, turn on a game, and watch it with an open mind. Because I feel like so many people that talk poorly about women's sports or women's softball they create their judgments from like predetermined stereotypes. That would be my message, would be like, I challenge you to sit down on your couch, turn on a game, and watch, because if you enjoy baseball, why wouldn't you enjoy softball?
I completely agree to that, and to add to that, I mean, I think it's hard when you sit there and compare sports. Like, you can't compare baseball to softball, because even though they are the same sport, they're not similar. Baseball, you're watching a 3 to 4 hour game. Softball can go an hour, or it can be very short. And I think it's hard when you sit there and compare, or like compare us to the boys. Like, you can't compare how far we hit the ball compared to them. Like, obviously, yes. And it's
different
like,
ball, different bat. Like, even then on top of the build of a woman versus a man. Well, thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. That is our wrap for today's episode. I want to extend a massive thank you to the 2 phenomenal female athletes who joined us today. Your stories are the heart and soul of our podcast, and your greatness truly shines through in every word. I also want to express my gratitude to the Everett Otter Group for continuing to promote the See Her Greatness campaign. With locations in Benton, Bryan, and Rogers, they're not just in the business of selling cars, they're champions of celebrating female excellence in sports. To my listeners, I can't thank you enough for tuning in and being a part of this empowering journey. Remember, you can catch up on all of our episodes and stay connected with the latest from Everett's See Her Greatness campaign by following us on social media. Until next time, keep believing in your greatness, keep striving for your dreams, and keep celebrating the incredible achievements of women in sports. This is Sydney Lemmerhurt signing off.